the new commander skills in the game have just dropped. They've got the meetup in Dubai. That's a rock event. It's a Rise of Kingdoms event they're doing in Dubai. And one of the things is that they wanted to drop these new skills for these new commanders. We've got 2 of them and they look pretty good. Everybody, I'm War Daddy Chatsky. I put out videos all the time. And I am here to give you as much information as I can, as quick as I can. And immediately, when these 2 guys dropped, my whole community said, Chatsky, go do a video right now. And if you want to join that community, my Discord link is in the description. We're already cooking in there. We're already talking about it in there. And we're already talking about how these guys are going to impact the game. These are infantry commanders. We knew they were coming. I've been saying for a while, it's a garrison in a field, and it's going to be Smite. Okay, the new pincer formation is still yet to be seen, but that is a Smite damage formation that's been out, that is coming out. And now they're going to add these infantry Smite commanders. I love that direction. I love the direction they're going with Smite commanders on the infantry. And I think we're going to get infantry with Smite. I think we're going to get more combo with cavalry. And honestly, I think we're probably going to go back to skill damage with archers. I don't know about true damage. I don't know what they're going to do. But that is what we're looking forward to right now. So everybody was asking, what are these new commanders? Okay. Well, from this one, this is by key, okay? We're going to call him BQ. That's what we're going to call him. He is BQ. He is an infantry. He's got the versatility tree, which is meh, and then he's got the Smite tree, okay? He is going to be a field commander. This is the commander that's going to show up on the wheel or in some kind of special event like they've done for Arthur and Ragnar. And then the other commander that we're going to see is Takugawa, okay? This is going to be the garrison commander. And I kind of got a feeling this commander is going to work beautifully with Gorgo. Absolutely beautifully in garrison with Gorgo. So, with that being said, let's go look at the skills. They just dropped in the game, and let's go figure out if those skills are going to be able to apply. And then we'll talk about some possible pairings and things like that. So this is BQ's active skill. It's a rage requirement of 1,000. And when you see this skill overall, it really has an opportunity with 2,400 damage factor on a fan shape for 5 enemy targets. That is crazy. That is nuts, y'all. And so when you look at this overall, you're saying, okay, now we've got an AoE fan shape, a lot like Luce, with 5 targets, and he does some extra things with that. Each target has a 30% chance to take 15% extra damage. Okay, the Smite damage bonuses can be affected by normal damage increases instead of bonuses to skill damage. So they give us that caveat like they have kind of for a while. And then his second skill, okay, so first talking about his active skill, that's massive. Okay, that continues the power creep. Okay, that fits right in line with Luce. And what this guy is able to do is do a ton of damage, a ton of Smite damage, which now we have our third Smite field commander. And so now we got to figure out the combinations that we'll talk about in a bit. Let's go to his second skill. This commander's infantry units gain 20% march speed, 10% health, 40% attack. Okay, a lot more attack than health, and I would rather have it the other way. But we'll take this. 20% march speed is always great for infantry as you're trying to catch up with your infantry marches, okay? We go into his third skill. This commander's troop deals 10% more normal damage. Okay, that is like a 10% all damage to a Smite commander. When attacking field troops, okay, field troops are differentiated by non-rallying garrison, okay? So this is telling me it's not going to be a garrison pair, okay? But his AoE and hard-hitting active skill might just make it a makeshift garrison if you have to with Gorgo or something. I don't know. We'll look at that. But then 10 stacks of malice upon entering combat. 10 stacks of malice for every 10% units it loses. Okay, so for every 10% units that you lose, I assume that is what you lose, you get a 5% bonus to Smite damage dealt up to 30% for every 10% units it is missing. Okay, so every 10% of units you are missing, you're going to be able to get 5% more smite damage, up to 30%. Okay, smite damage is affected by normal damage. We know that. Okay, interesting third skill. We'll have to kind of figure that out a little bit and talk about it. Okay, fourth skill, if the commander's troops is on the map after severely wounding 400,000 enemy units, it gains 5% bonus to normal damage dealt. When reduced to 50% units remaining, that means your own march is reduced to 50% units remaining. It deals 60% more damage and takes 30% less damage for the next 6 seconds. Okay. In a murder ball fight, you're going back and forth. Once you hit that 50% HP mark with your troops, you get this buff that is pretty strong. And then, when we go on to the next part of that, when you get down to 15% units remaining, it deals 100% more damage and takes 50% less damage for the next 6 seconds. This can trigger effect basically every time you come out of your city. This will be in place and it can trigger. I think that's pretty good. I'm not as interested in the 15% or below. You're just not going to do that much damage anyways. With that low of troops, you're getting in the red, you're running it to sad face. But hey, a little bit of extra when you're down that low. At 50%, I think that's great. Most players stay in the field well past 50%. And so now you get a good damage bonus. And honestly, it makes it to where, okay, once I get below 50%, once I get that buff, once that buff wears off, then it's time to go home and refresh, unless you're running it down in a sad face situation. Okay, so that's his fourth skill, blood upon blood. This dude is wild. Okay, so now we get into his expertise. If this commander's troops is attacking troops on the map, again, we're going back to the attacking troops on the map. Their troop gains 10 stacks of malice effect whenever it uses an active skill. Okay, so you get the malice effect every time you pop off an active skill. If the number of malice stacks is higher than the target's percent of troops remaining, it spends 10 malice stacks to deal smite damage of 300 factor. What I think this is that as you're ramping up the malice effects, because there's no cooldown on malice, so you get 10 stacks of malice effects when you enter battle. You get another 10 stacks when you use an active skill. I assume that's primary and secondary. So you're running up your malice effects pretty good. After a few skill cycles, you are going to be up to 80, 90, 10, 100 stacks of malice. And once you get over the amount of the percentage of troop you have, let's say you drop down your troops to 70% as you run up about 3 or 4 active skills, your malice will be stacked higher than the percentage of HP you have left. I know it's hard to figure out, but just follow me there. Let's say you have 70% of troops left. You have 80, 90% of malice stacks. Once that's higher, you're going to spend 10 malice to the target to do a 300 damage factor. It also gains a 10% bonus to sev wounds inflicted and a 20% bonus to rage recovery speed for 1 second. Okay, now we just got to find out what kind of cooldown there is. Or cooldown's 1 second. So basically what this is saying is that you're going to keep a malice stack number. And if the HP of your marches runs below that stack number, let's say you're at 70%, and then you drop to 60%, and your malice stack is at 70, 80, 90%, it's going to spend 10 malice stacks. And then it's going to spend another 10 malice stacks. And it's going to keep spending stacks until the amount of malice stacks is below your HP. You're basically below the troop count you have, percentage. Okay, really kind of hard to figure out, but what I see here with a 1 second cooldown is that as you ramp up the malice stacks and you start expending troops and your HP bar goes down and down and down, all of a sudden those malice stacks start getting spent and you start firing off 300 damage factor like every second. Like it's got a 1 second cooldown, so every other second you're just firing that off. And so I think this is kind of a cool little malice situation going on here where you're having to calculate how many stacks you have compared to the HP, compared to the percentage of the troops you have. So with that being said, I think this is really, really good. This is for BQ, okay? That would be this guy right here. All right, he was back before BCE, okay? He's an old commander, but crazy supreme military commander. That's pretty insane. Okay, so real quick, let's go into the garrison. The garrison, Takugawa. Yes, let's go. Now, he's a little bit more recent. Oh, my. There's some cannons and firepower going on with this guy. I'm not saying that's going to be his active skill. However, 1543 to 1616, there were definitely muzzles and gunpowder and all that stuff in that day and age, okay? So let's go to his commander skills and kind of figure this out. I'm not gonna try to pronounce that. But here you go. As a primary commander, his rate requirement's 1,000. He's gonna deal smite damage to a target. Damage factor 2,400. That's big time. Okay, that sounds like a good pair with Gorgo. Gorgo's needed the smite pair. He reduces the defense to the enemy of 10% for 3 seconds. Okay, this commander's troops gain a damage absorbing mighty shield for 2 seconds. Okay, that is massive. And so when you look at this overall, there's all kinds of synergies here. There's all kinds of situations to where this guy can really do some crazy stuff. Maybe with a Gorgo situation, maybe with some of these other situations that we see. And it's really, really interesting to see how that's all going to play out. Okay, this commander's troops gains a damage absorbing mighty shield of 600. Okay, so massive smite, and a good amount of mighty shielding. Okay, so we're going smite and shielding. All right, that makes sense. And it is a big damage factor of 2,400. What this sounds like to me is that Gorgo finally has a pair. Gorgo puts a normal damage buff on her troops after her active skill. And when she does that, she benefits from it because she delays her active skill 1 second. She delays her actual damage 1 second. And then being able to have that buff last into this guy is really, really good. Okay, whenever this commander's troop launches a basic attack or a counterattack, their infantry units have a 25% chance to gain 30% attack for 4 seconds. Okay, 30% attack buff, we can take that. Infantry units of this troop gain 10% march speed, which is weird. It's a garrison commander. You're just running faster from wall to wall, I guess, in your garrison. And a 10% defense. Okay, minimal stats. We saw as a counter to Subutai, you might need a stat stick. But I think they're just going with a bunch of damage here if they're wanting to counter that. Let's go to his third skill, okay? If the commander is a garrison commander, whenever the garrison receives a buff, it has 50% chance to gain a damage-absorbing mighty shield for 3 seconds. Damage factor 1,200? Woo! Okay, now we're talking. Okay, so we're firing off this stuff every 7 seconds with a 50% chance. That is wild. Okay, so it's just not the 600 damage factor shield from the expertise that we see back here. Now we're talking about the 1,200 damage factor, and that thing looks like it's going to fire off just about every 7 seconds. That's kind of big time. Okay, Mighty Shield is really, really good. Mighty Shield is great for some of the armaments that you have, but I think this is probably going to be an Arch or Smite situation. Whenever this current commander, let's get the fourth skill. Whenever this current commander's troops launches a basic attack or counterattack, it has a 15% chance, okay, to gain 30% of its shield to deal smite damage. Chance has a 15% chance of the shield to deal smite damage. Okay, to up to 3 nearby enemy troops. Okay, so we've got an AoE proc going on here with 300. And then you got the 15% nerf. Okay, well, that can be very, very interesting, especially in the garrison. You like doing AoE. So there is an AoE component here all of a sudden when it comes to Gorgo with this guy. Like if you're going to run this guy behind Gorgo, and we'll talk about that here in a few, it appears that is a really cool little AoE effect. Okay, let's go to his expertise. Let's see what we got here. If this commander is a garrison commander, the garrison deals 10% more damage. Oh, great. We'll take that. Whenever the garrison deals smite damage, it has a 25% chance to cleanse. Oh. Any slow, poison, exhaustion, or normal debuffs. Okay. Effect for itself, and it has multiple stacks. The effect has multiple stacks. It cleanses 1 stack. I got it. Okay. So for the effect of itself, it cleanses 1 stack of these different types of debuffs that get put on it. Okay. It gains 1 stack for the Tosho effect for 10 seconds. Each stack increases the health of the garrison's infantry by 5%. The Tosho effect can stack up to 4 times. Okay, so now we get the stat stick. You're running the health up to 20%. Okay, that is awesome. And its duration resets when it gains another stack. Okay, I see what we're doing here. So we're stacking we're stacking these cleanse Tosho effects up. And as we stack them up, we're going to gain more health, and we're also mitigating the slow, which is not a big deal in the garrison, poison, which is a very big deal, even though people don't really rally with Herman, exhaustion, okay, that's more of a Chandragupta situation, or normal debuffs. Normal debuffs is the main one. Normal debuffs are debuffing your health, debuffing your damage, your defense, debuffing your attack. Like, let's say Attila rallies this thing. Attila's going to put a big attack debuff on the garrison where it doesn't do as much attack as far as the percentage goes, or the bonus goes. This is going to clear that. It's going to clear any debuffs that are on the garrison. That's really, really good. So you got a damage factor of 10%, and you have an infantry health bonus with the Tosho effect of 5%, and that stacks up to 4 times to 20%. Big time, okay? This guy is gonna be the great Smite garrison commander that, honestly, Gorgo has needed for a long, long time. Gorgo's been in a situation where we're makeshifting her, we're running her in artifacts with Attila, we're running her, primary with other infantry garrisons. You have to run Constantine, or you have to run Martel with her, and then we're also running her with mixed garrison with Hera. But now she finally has it. She finally has a Smite partner to go with. So if we look at this overall and try to figure out exactly how this stuff is going to work, and I love it, because from that standpoint, let's talk about that with Gorgo real quick. Gorgo's gonna be primary in that situation, and let me explain why. Let's find our Lady Gorgo. She was just down here. Okay, first of all, she has a really cool situation to where she only has 900 requirement on the rage, so she needs to be a primary commander. We've all loved her 2300 damage factor. Well, now you're putting a commander with 2400 damage factor right behind her. Okay, and then here's the key right here. For the next 3 seconds, the commander deals 10% more normal damage, okay? So for the next 3 seconds after active skill, so you're gonna push that normal damage bonus back to Takugawa, okay? And so from that standpoint, that's an easy pairing. Gorgo and this guy. Put Takugawa behind Gorgo, and you're good. You're absolutely good. This commander's infantry troops gain 40% attack, and you got a normal damage bonus. Massive. All damage now. Smite, let's go. And so that is going to be your infantry garrison. We're going to see how powerful it is. We're going to see if that thing can really go toe-to-toe against an Attila Subutai. We'll test it out. We'll do all the different things. We also need to test out, just depending on what Pincer has, if we need to run this with Arch or Pincer, because Pincer is the new Smite formation that's coming out. We don't have it yet. We're supposed to get it in just a couple of days, okay? But we wanted to put this video out and talk about these commanders first. But we'll figure that out as far as the capabilities there. All right, now we're going to go back and talk about the new guy real quick. Let me see. We'll go through here. We're going to figure out if BQ or by key, if BQ is going to be a good pairing. Obviously, you saw his skills, massive smite, all the different things he has. This is what this does for players, and this is what I think is going to change for the game and for everybody that understands how this stuff works. I think we're going to be in a situation to where now those of us who invested in Wallace is going to be a great pair with this guy. And I say that because I think this gives us an opportunity to put Luce with Philip. For those of us who might be running 3 infantry marches, and you've got Philip, Luce, Wallace, BQ now, and then Ragnar Scipio as your skill damage infantry, it is big time. I think it is big time. If you run Philip with somebody else, Philip, greatest commander in the game, I swear. You run Philip with Zuge, or you run Philip over with Arthur, then I think this is an easy upgrade from running LC Alex or Wallace LC, and then you just run BQ with LC. And that's your 2 infantry marches. You run Ragnar Scipio and then Luce with BQ, and maybe BQ primary because of the Smite tree. Okay, and so also BQ's got some of those stacks and procs and different things like that. Luce is going to help out with that, obviously, with the extra basic attack of rage and basic effects that he gives on every single turn. So that's going to be a field monster. That's going to be an absolute field monster. 2,250 damage factor. We've always talked about how Luce is just god tier with his damage. Well, this guy's doing 2,400. 2,400 to 5 enemy troops. Okay? Just when you think, I just put out a commander investment list, and the top 3 most valuable commanders in the game are Luce, Arthur, and Philip. Straight up, hands down, no argument there. And now all of a sudden you're going to give a commander that appears to be maybe a little bit better, at least a little bit more damage on the active skill, 5 targets. But Luce still has some of this stuff going on with his extra combo and all kinds of things. So we're just going to have to test that out and see. But I think there's all kinds of ways to run that. If you run 3 infantry marches or you run 2 infantry and you have a leadership set, I think you really need to look hard at going Ragnar with CPO. And then either way you want to do it, if you're running Philip with a leadership set or a third infantry set, and you've got basically 4 commanders, Luce, Philip, Wallace, and now BQ. You've got these commanders you can mix and match, figure out what's going to work out best. We'll figure that out. We'll test it all out. We'll tell you all about it and what does best with different things. Or, you know what? This gives you a chance if you don't have Wallace and you still want to run 3 infantry marches, which is kind of weird, or you have 2 infantry in a leadership set, you can move LC behind Philip, or you can run LC with BQ and leave Wallace completely out of it and run Ragnar CPO. There's all kinds of different ways you can do that. And the key with that is Philip. Philip makes everything better. He runs with everything. It's pretty impressive. So those are the skills. That's what we wanted to cover. That's what we wanted to look at. I wanted to do it for you guys, put the video out real quick, talk about it real quick. I might stream later today, and if I do, we'll have a nice long discussion about all this stuff. And so if you like the video, be sure to throw a thumbs up on it. Consider subscribing. Our subscriptions are going through the roof, and it doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And if you enjoy the videos, any videos that I got, be sure to like them. That also really helps out the channel. It's your boy Chatsky. I'm going to get out of here. Hope everybody enjoys their day with these new commanders.